Welcome back to another video. My name is Michael. I'm the founder of Buffalo Performance and Analysis, where we combine sports science, strength and conditioning, and sports performance to give coaches the tools necessary to build the next level of elite athletes. In this video, we're looking at some of my source code from my work with RStudio, looking at injury analysis with NFL athletes. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to install the necessary packages when we get started. So the first ones that I installed are going to be tidyverse and then dplyr. Tidyverse is a large set of packages that are specific for data science. dplyr is going to be used mostly for data manipulation, and that's really the only two main ones that we're going to need for the work that we've done so far. The next thing we're going to want to do is load and then view the data set that we're going to use. So when we run this code right here, it's going to let us see the data frame that we just loaded in. We can see the player key, game ID, play key, the body part that was injured, the surface that it was injured on, whether it was synthetic grass or natural grass, and then the time missed out of practice. So days missed, they missed 1 day, 7 days, 28 days, or 42 days. Then the next thing that we're going to look at is how I used pipes and filtered data to filter the data a little bit more specifically. So what I went ahead and did is I filtered it by the body, by the surface that it was injured. So when we run these lines of code here, it's going to return two different data frames. So we have a natural data frame where all the data frames, or where all the surfaces are natural. If we can scroll. And then the other one that it returned is a synthetic one where it returns only synthetic turf injuries. Going on from there, we can utilize what's called ggplot to graph the data. So I'm going to run these lines of code here. Now this is going to return two different graphs. However, we can see that one graph is synthetic, where we can see the ankle, foot, knee, and toe injuries, and the other one that it returned was the natural grass. Toe, foot, we see that we have one heel injury, knee injuries, and then the toe injuries. The benefits to this is that it shows all the injuries from one playing surface versus the other. The downside of that is that it's very hard to compare the data from natural to synthetic. So what we can utilize is something called facet wrap right here. And what this will do is give us side-by-side comparisons of our natural to synthetic playing surfaces. So injuries per body part, and then we have it broken down so we can see for the ankle how many natural compared to how many synthetic, and we can do that for each individual body part. So facet wrap is a great way that we can kind of compare data. I went ahead and also ran some additional code here for some minor statistical analysis, number of rows, the count, and then the count of body parts. So if we run these codes here, it's going to return a few different answers for us. So the number of rows, it shows us how many injuries there were in total. So there's 105 injuries in total. Then we can break it down and look at, okay, out of those 105, 48 of them occurred on natural grass and 57 of them occurred on synthetic turf. Continuing on, we looked at breaking it down by the body part and surface. So here, if we expand it a little bit more, it's going to show us each individual body part per playing surface. So the ankle on natural versus ankle on synthetic. And this is just a table format of the graph that we just plotted right here. But going on from that, we can then look at and utilize percentages and find out as a percentage how many injuries occurred on synthetic versus natural grass. And so we can look at how many knee injuries occurred on natural versus synthetic as a percentage. So when we run that code here, it's going to return it, and we can see that 57 injuries out of 105 is a little bit over half of all injuries occurred on synthetic turf, and about 45% occurred on natural grass. Moving on, we see that we have 24 knee injuries out of the 57 synthetic injuries, gives us about 42%. So 42% of injuries on synthetic turf were from knee injuries. Past that, we look at knee injuries on natural grass. 42 out of 48 is exactly 50%. So this is just some of the baseline analysis that I've been working with our programming in our studio. As I get more advanced, I'll be doing more and more statistical analysis and be able to show the mean difference, Cohen's d, and then using different data sets, we can show Pearson's correlationship between two variables to see how related those variables are.